What's up?
So, so I ha-
shittiest, shittiest intro ever.
so
Just, yep,
well
worse than any intro you've ever attempted.
uh welcome to the Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
Oh yeah, we got to do that
That is
part
that is Jay, and I am Christopher, and I am quitting D&D 100% again.
again, dude.
Again,
It was like 3 weeks ago when you just quit 100% forever.
and this time I mean it.
Okay,
uh,
hold on. Last time it was because they were doing a promotional thing with nerds, of which is your favorite candy, which you absolutely love. So, what do you love more than nerds that they're doing a promotional thing with now?
so this year has been very interesting for let's just say the past year. It's been very interesting for Dungeons and Dragons. They've had a huge uptick in sales. Everyone's buying, Rhyme of the Frostmaiden and
That's because
Domains of Dread.
everybody was stuck at home for a year.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, still stuck at home.
Oh, well, maybe
uh,
you.
and they're D&D's is doing good. So they worked on the Magic the Gathering D&D set, which I didn't complain about and was really hyped for because I really like Magic the Gathering, and
Mhm.
it made sense. And it was very critical of me to like that and not like the nerds crossover candy potential for money.
Yeah.
So when the nerd thing came around, that's just like, oh my god, are they jumping the shark already with D&D? Like it's only been popular for a year, guys. Tone it down a little bit. We don't need Dungeon and Dragons themed popsicles and ice cream and nerds candies.
Hell, we don't.
Well, now we'll get it.
Probably.
So,
Yeah, I expect that's going to be the case. Well, I think to really get over the hump for D&D though, it's gonna have to have a good movie.
oh yeah, that would cement it in definitely in the
Yeah, that
forever popular or forever not popular.
yeah, that's a requirement though. But once that happens, then yeah, then it can jump the shark. People like me
So
can quit playing it.
so what they've partnered with now, another Hasbro product. What do you think they've teamed up with? Hopefully, you don't already know.
No, I have no clue, and honestly, I don't know what all Hasbro has the rights to. I think we've definitely talked Hasbro and rights on here before,
Well,
but
well,
like
they got My Little Pony,
Transformers, I think, and shit like
Transformers,
that. Yeah,
GI Joe, Power Rangers. I think still maybe I don't know.
probably.
Um, so right now at your local Target, you can buy Dungeons and Dragons themed Nerf guns.
What?
There are three in total. There is the Nerf Dragon Power Skyblaze Dart Bow, the Nerf Dragon Power Ember Strike Blaster, and the Nerf Dragon Power Fire Shart Dart Blaster.
Oh, I'm looking for this right now.
um,
Holy
we'll,
crap!
we'll put links up to the Target link that has everything, non-affiliate, so you can buy without giving us any feedback. Anyways, um,
I thought I found one of them. I'm trying to find the other two.
I got the link right here. Hold on.
Yeah, I got the Dragon Power one. That's the one I've been able to
Well, they're all
find.
they're all Dragon Power. They're
Well,
all
hang on. I don't. Dragon Power. I got the Fire Shot Dart
yeah.
Blaster.
So there is a bow and arrow essentially that fires darts. They have a small handheld pistol that fires a single shot, and then they have the like shotgun or rifle variant, which is the Ember Strike, and that's basically got an 8 cylinder in it that you can load and shoot.
Yeah, I like the
Well,
bow and arrow.
yeah, I like all three of them. I am not going to buy them with the favor that I purchased Magic the Gathering cards that were D&D themed.
I just did.
You did?
No, no, but
Okay.
I'm highly considering it, man.
Now Nerf is one of those things that either people are like, yeah, it's the coolest thing ever, or it's just the dumbest thing ever. And I've always been that it's always been very cool, but I've never had any use for it. None of my friends ever had Nerf guns. Um,
I'm gonna show
there's,
up at your house, kick in your front door, and just start blasting with
yeah.
Nerf guns.
So yeah, none of my friends ever had Nerf guns. I'm getting a weird echo from you. Uh,
What about now?
no,
All right, hopefully it
and
stops forever.
good. So the pistol's kind of meh. I don't like the ideas of like the guns where you gotta load it and pull it, fire it, load it, pull it, fire it. But they do have that one Nerf gun, which is like a 60 mag cylinder you put in, and it's like on a little turret, and it's just auto fire. Like that. That's cool. And I've seen all the people who've gone through and taken a Nerf gun and like modified it and repainted it so it like looks authentic or looks very steampunky or gearpunky for their LARPs and stuff.
Yep,
I know the Fallout LARP down there in Atlanta uses Nerf guns
that is
quite
correct. Yeah,
heavily.
yep.
I
I,
just
I've
I don't.
I had always wanted to go to it, and then I never got around to it, like most things.
Yeah, it seems interesting, but I don't think I could not show up to that place and play a super mutant with a stop sign, foam stop sign LARP weapon.
I I can see that. No, I absolutely can see that.
Yeah. So I don't know how to feel about these guns. On one
Uh,
hand, they're nice and cute and whatever. I'm not going to buy any. But is that really the target audience they're going for? Is the D&D that popular with
WotC
10
is
to 18-year-olds?
isn't WotC owned by Hasbro? Like that's the company that
Yes.
owns Hasbro or owns WotC.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're looking for money. That's the simple of it. They already own Nerf, so they're just branding other stuff they have and throwing it on there. I'm sure there are Transformer Nerf guns out there, or Transformer themed Nerf guns. There's
I don't think
probably
there are.
but well, there could be, and there's no reason that Hasbro wouldn't or shouldn't do that. It might, that it might not be their complete target audience. At the same time, nerds like stuff like Nerf guns. Like My Little Pony Nerf guns. You could definitely do that.
I'm going to shoot you with friendship.
No, yeah, you just put like a little pink, purple wings on the side of the gun or something, and call it My Little Pony Nerf gun. And
So I saw that earlier this week or late last week, and I was just like, I'm over it.
yeah,
Like they couldn't release like the melee weapons that they've done for Nerf for D&D.
they have
Like
melee weapons for Nerf.
yeah, Nerf makes foam melee weapons.
What?
Like yeah, um, they're not they're not like
Looking this
well
up too. Uh,
for now. I would say they're definitely not LARP quality, but they're like 5-year-old swinging it as hard as he can't hurt you
oh
quality.
wow, they have a whole bunch of them.
They do have a whole bunch of them. So why didn't they take the battle axe or the great sword or the sword and shield and make those D&D themed Nerf weapons? Because
Probably this is probably just the test, and if this does well, then they'll just start, naming all. Like, look at this, man. They have this thing is called Shadow Fury Short Sword, and it's a
mhm.
Nerf weapon. Yeah, they
Oh
could.
yeah,
All they have to do is throw the D&D label on one of these, call it the Holy Avenger, and sell it like hotcakes.
oh yeah. A Holy Avenger mace would sell like crazy.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm just uh very surprised that they didn't do the Nerf weapons and just went with guns, which since the Nerf guns were published during the fifth edition time frame, does that make guns canon in 5e now?
they already are. Like they are canon, even in Forgotten Realms.
I know.
Yeah, they are not canon in my own personal D&D game. In the core of D&D, they actually are. Honestly, even in early editions, I know in second edition you could get an arquebus, which is a very early musket style weapon.
Yeah, I actually saw a lot of people complaining about guns today. I was kind of scrolling through Reddit, and
Good.
looking at stuff. Hey, it was like what the funny one I saw was like you allow guns in your game, and then it's like uh, you knowing that guns take about a minute to reload. So ha ha ha, they don't get to do anything during their encounter. I'm
I
like,
can't,
this didn't allow it. Don't be a dick.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to have them that awful, maybe don't allow them at all.
Uh,
I came across a monster yesterday. I was searching through monsters for the campaign I'm running, and it was a hobgoblin arquebuser. And
mhm,
basically, this thing was able through feats and other abilities to use a heavy crossbow pretty much at the same speed as a bow.
okay.
Which, I mean, honestly, that seems awesome. I know in 5e, crossbows are kind of garbage just because of how long they take to reload and everything else. But
Um, yeah. So about guns, the look up the Nerf N Strike Elite Rhino Fire Blaster.
in Strike Elite, there it is, Rhino Fire Blaster. Oh yeah, I've seen this guy before. Jeez, $270.
Would you allow that in your game? Huh?
If I'm playing something modern.
A mini game with a minigun essentially with uh
Oh yeah,
with
no, dude,
underhand clips.
this thing even has like I don't know what they're called, but it's like the side cylinder that
Yeah.
you just load it up with Nerf darts and put it in the side of the gun, and it has two of them, one on each side. It has thumb triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I don't want anything like that showing up for D&D. Or
so
honestly, I don't even want to see that with a D&D label on it.
so my I hear the echo again.
Damn it, I
What are
don't
you
know why it's
doing?
doing literally nothing.
Uh so one thing I know in my broad knowledge of medieval weaponry is like the heavy crossbow that they used wasn't that slow of a weapon. So like you would fire, and then you would stick the front, basically the point into the ground. That's what that little metal thing was in the front of it was. You put your foot through it, you pull back on the string, you set
Yep.
the dart down, and then you're ready to fire again. So with any kind of like legitimate training, you could probably get that down in under 6 seconds. So fire, load, you
Yeah,
know. So
truthfully, you could probably pull off 2 shots within 6 seconds if you're really good at it.
yeah, I mean it's not like those videos of like the Russian guy and that Ukrainian chick that are firing 60 bow and arrow shots in less than a minute,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they're hitting their targets from insane distances and those crazy things. Um,
yeah, you're never look, a simple bow and arrow is always going to be faster than a crossbow that's not, you know, not designed to auto reload or something.
yeah, the crossbow lets you shoot somebody with an arrow or a bolt in that case, without having any skill in bow and arrow in archery, where some of the bow and arrow can just like murder an entire battalion of people
I mean,
with a good
for
bow and arrow.
that's a good point, and honestly, for D&D, that might be the proper fix for it. With crossbows, have them allowed less attacks per round, like it already kind of does,
Yeah,
but maybe add in like a +2 to hit because you
yeah.
don't have to be as proficient in it. Either that, or I'll just make it a simple weapon so
That's why
anyone can pick it up.
like in reality the handgun is like this universal equalizer
Yeah,
because any I don't remember what movie it was, but it's like any hooker can pick up a handgun and kill a hitman, and then she killed the hitman. I don't remember what movie that was.
no, I have not seen that.
I
But
think
your point
it was an Halle
stands.
Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you pick it up and anyone can pick up a handgun and fire. I mean, how often does it happen tragically, you know?
Oh,
So,
sadly, all the time.
which is which
That's why it is better to have the trading.
which makes it kind of funny that it is so hard to get firearm training in 5th edition When literally you could just kill a gunslinger, pick up his gun, and go, huh, bang. Oh, that works. That was easy.
Well, the thing I know, at least in Forgotten Realms, I can't speak for all of them, but Forgotten Realms, gunpowder is only utilized by the basically the priest of Gond, who is the artificer, the creator, etc. So it's not common whatsoever, and most people have probably never seen it or even heard of it. So if you see somebody pulling the trigger and firing this thing, and then you kill them, you probably aren't going to have any idea how to reload this thing. You're not going to have any clue of how it actually properly works.
Yeah.
So the
Um,
proficiency on that, just yeah, it would take proficiency.
it would take proficiency in maintaining the weapon, but it doesn't take proficiency in just picking it up and firing it once.
If it's loaded already, but
Yeah.
you might not know how to load it.
So what was weird is when I started playing Fifth Edition, one of the first campaigns I ran was Waterdeep. I think we've mentioned this before, but
Probably.
the brigand Dareth that
Yeah, Brigand Aerith,
yeah that forgot his stupid
Jarl
name.
Axel.
Jarlaxle. Yeah, the drow that he has are all gunslingers.
Hmm.
So they have these somehow they have poisonous pistols. I don't know. Waterdeep has guns, and yeah, they're expert pistoliers and maintaining the weapon. I get that. One of my players even was like, "Hey, I want to find a gun and not know anything about it, and just want to fiddle around with it." I'm always like, "Okay, you do you, boo." I don't know what that's going to lead to. Probably nothing.
That that actually kind of leads towards the topic I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, was terrible D&D ideas, or yeah, but we can get to
So,
that here in a little bit. But that's where that goes. That sounds like a shitty D&D idea.
well, actually, that's kind of what I want to talk about too. Was um, that player basically just wanted to have a pistol? Okay,
Yeah.
and if he tried to use it, there were heavy penalties of firing it. There were, you know, he didn't know how to do it. He couldn't reload it and all that stuff. He just wanted to play around with it. And I remember we did a couple sessions and he never did anything with the pistol. He just had it on him.
Yeah.
And I like my players to have things that are unique to their PC. It helps tell some stories sometimes.
Hmm.
And in Waterdeep, one of our players got a Shardalian sword, and I had no plan for the sword or what it would do. And I was just kind of shooting from the hip whenever he would do anything with it. I knew what 4E said Chardonnay was, and kind of was like, okay, if it's a conduit for magic, you could use it as a focus and stuff like that. Um, and eventually, it kind of grew in some power over time, but nothing too crazy ever happened with it. And in the current Al campaign, my wife has an artificer that has this green emerald medallion that's her family legacy.
Right.
And I have no idea what to do with that, other than the fact that when the group all got their druidic blessings at the beginning of the campaign, instead of getting a green feather, the druid put the green feather in the emerald, and now there's like this etched feather in the emerald itself.
Okay.
What to do with it? I have no idea because I honestly don't know what to do with it.
With 5e, I know they have the starting trinkets list,
Yeah.
and definitely used that in one of my campaigns a while back. I had everybody start with a random trinket, and then I
Mhm.
played the entire campaign for God knows how long and did nothing with it ever.
Yeah, I did nothing with the random trinkets from Frostman too, or Frostmaiden as well.
Yeah.
Like, because the players don't bring it up and remind me that they have these things, I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe I'm a bad DM because I don't ever look at my my players' character sheets.
Oh hell, I'm the
I
worst at that. I don't even keep their character sheets. They do.
Yeah, I don't look at them ever. I don't look what they have in their inventory. I don't keep track of any of that. I know some DMs are very tight-fisted like that and
Mhm.
demand to always see and hold on to them so they can
I've played.
manage the characters.
I have played under DMs like that, and honestly, I don't mind it. You know, I fully understand because as a DM, if you have those character sheets and have full access and full knowledge of them, it does allow you to come up with ideas in the backstory or just things along the way that were not initially planned. But if you're able to look over those sheets every so often, ideas will come to you.
Well, I mean, I can look at the character sheets at any time. I just never do. I
Yeah,
just feel that the
well,
DMs that
yours is online. I'm talking in
yeah,
person. So
I just feel like a DM that has the hold of the character sheets because I don't want you doing anything with them just has control problems.
I've
Not
yeah, I've seen those DMs too, and you're not wrong. But at the same time, I have also played with players who are cheaters, so it works both ways.
what? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like if they come up with like a magic sword or some shit out of the
No,
blue,
but yeah, but yeah. Oh, maybe they just added +2 to their wisdom, and you're not gonna fucking know that if you don't have the
yeah.
sheets. So yeah,
I mean, that's
you
fair.
can get away with very minor cheating if the DM doesn't have complete access to what you're doing. Like even at the start of combat, one thing I'll do is I write down armor class and hit points totals. I personally, a lot of the times nowadays, I don't keep up with hit points as they're losing them. Because I trust my play group. But if I was playing with people I did not know, I would have those hit points in front of me, and every time one of them takes damage, I would be subtracting those hit points because it's another thing that's just easy to cheat on.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of things a player can cheat on. So I just have I just have complete and utter faith in my players
Same.
until they force me to believe otherwise.
Yeah, but
Um,
I've known too many players over the years who are cheaters or bad players, that push the boundaries of what is and is not ethical.
yeah.
And yeah, because of that, if it's a new play group I'm with, I'm going to be a lot more cautious and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Um, speaking of armor class, I one of the things that I gave the group recently was the encounter with the knight in the forest.
Yes, I
And
remember that.
we talked about a little bit about that. So they finally concluded that story before or after last session or so. And when I envisioned the knight, I envisioned like this old guy with this bushy goatee and a big bushy mustache, and he still had like this shiny, gleamy, full plate mail.
Yep.
So when they went and fought the owlbear, um, he kind of tricked them into fighting it. Uh, he basically left mid combat, and when they finally got back to where he was already dead. Like he had been dead forever. This may have been an illusion. This may have just been a time variance shift. No one knows.
Right.
So in any case, one of the players took the knight's skull as their College of Spirits focus. And so now
Okay.
the knight is just always there telling him stories of great knightly deeds that he's done. And kind of just going off on weird tales. Like, well, one time Sir Rudolph told me he did this and killed 100 people with a single sword strike. And I
Hmm.
just, I love those little stories that
I
the
would.
players picking up.
Yeah. If I was that player, I would be trying to picture him as Sean Connery. At all, yeah, that's who's telling me stories. I'm just hearing his, dulcet tones speaking to me about great knightly deeds that he has performed. Uh, I would certainly not want it to be, maybe like Eric Idle or one of the Monty Python crew, because then you're just going to be getting like really fucked up stories. I
I gotta watch that again. Um,
watched it
so
last year. It's still great.
so the other one, the ranger in the group who has a background of being a knight because it just kind of fit what he was. Um, so we're kind of like he's a knight in by title and like name, but he's still kind of learning to be a knight. So he's not officially a knight, like a just knight without a K, I guess,
Right.
when it comes to being an owl. Um, so he has that background, a noble family kind of stuff, and he took the plate mail that I had given the knight. So now he has a gleaming suit of plate mail at level 3. And
Yeah, that's like the common magic item, gleaming plate mail, I think.
yeah, it just never gets dirty.
Yeah. Hey,
It's
it's an
always
awesome item. I
shiny.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't realize when I wrote the knight, I was like, okay, this is a great reward for this little story. Is I just gave a player plate mail. Here's 3,000 gold magic item just for you.
Yeah, there is that. It's expensive. Plate mail is very expensive.
Luckily, he doesn't use a shield.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah, what level are they now? 3 something around
3.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
level
there'll be
3 running around a 23 armor class or some shit.
yeah. Um so he's taken quite a few hits. I'm glad he's not using a shield or else I'd just be completely broke.
Yeah, well, you would have to just start throwing spellcasters at him at that point.
Yeah. Well, a boar almost killed him.
Oh, well. All right. Hey, I mean, it's what was it? That was how Robert Baratheon died, so I could believe that.
Give him a breastplate stretcher. Brr. It's a shame they didn't finish that series off. It just ended at
Oh,
season
let's
5 or
let's
6.
not start. I loved the last season, so piss off. It's a shame those books are never going to get finished. However,
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah, we know that's not going to happen.
I saw something actually right before we started here where there was an interview going on with the directors and the the guy who played Jon Snow, and
Yep, whatever his name is.
the guy that played Sam, I think it was the fat librarian guy.
Yeah, yeah, I liked him.
Um, they had said something. The directors was like, "No, that never happened in the books." And then the guy playing Sam was like, "Yeah, it did." He's like, "Well, what book was it?" He was like, "It was book 3, starting in like midway through the book or whatever. It's like the whole like 4 chapters of just Sam from his point of view or something like that."
Oh yeah, well,
And just
obviously Sam should know what Sam did in the book.
right, but it didn't matter in the end, which makes me sad. It kind of makes me feel like there's no way. And this is the feeling that I get as a DM too. There's no way you could actually write an end of something and have it be great for everybody. When I ended Rime of the Frostmaiden, I thought it was the coolest ending, and I still let the players dictate the ending, but it was kind of going towards a certain direction with the story elements that I had put in there.
Yep.
And then the ending happened, and it's just like, yeah, that kind of sucked. Sorry. And
It's hard to end things, man.
yeah, and so like I don't fault them on that, especially with all the pressure. You can have 1,000 arguments as to why season 8 was bad, but you know, from a story standpoint, it's like, okay, you have this much time, this many episodes,
Yeah.
wrap everything up in a tight little package and make sure everybody's happy.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. I honestly like it would be difficult for me off the top of my head to think about any show. Yeah, movies are different because they're kind of compact, but any long running show where everybody's happy in the ending.
What was the one show that ended as it was all just a dream?
Oh, Lost. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no, older than that.
Oh, I have
It was like a
Fantasy
medical
Island.
show. No.
I don't know.
Um, it was like a medical show, and like the entire season happened, and main characters were killed off, and no one liked it, and everyone thought it was bad. And then like the season ended with the main character was killed off at the beginning of the season, waking up and going, "Oh, it's all just a bad dream."
I do not know. I do not
Crap!
know.
I'll have to find that when we start talking
Yeah.
about your topics.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on your topic right now. No, we're talking about like endings for things. It is
Well,
it is very difficult to end a campaign properly.
yeah,
Because, even with the ones that were written, like, well, I guess I can't say too much about Icewind Dale.
Dallas.
Dallas. Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember that. I was a little kid when that was on TV.
And Newhart did the same thing, but I think that was a joke.
But yeah, like just off the top of my head, there was Enterprise. Enterprise had one of the worst fucking endings ever. Sadly,
Yeah.
I personally I was fine with the Game of Thrones ending, but I know a lot of people were really just mad about it.
It
But
it
it
was it was just that it was too quick. It was one of those things that, like, if they were able to do that story over 3 more, they were stalling time for the books,
probably, and
and
then they
then
realize, oh, these are never getting finished.
they're like, "Okay, quick, we gotta finish this up in 2 seasons, let's go."
Yeah.
It actually reminds me a lot of, anime called Full Metal Alchemist,
Oh yeah.
where
Yep, I know it.
you watch Full Metal Alchemist, the original anime, and it's really, really, really good up until, like, a certain point where it takes, like, a left-hand turn and goes just bananas. And, like, now they're in an alternate dimension fighting Nazis. Like, where did this come from? You know, you were in a world where alchemy is just a thing, running everything, and now you're in this is actually an alternate dimension to World War II Nazis. Like, what the hell? And it's because they had caught up to the manga,
Right.
and we're like, okay, we don't know what to do. So, what sounds logical to us? Oh, Nazis. Okay, cool. Let's just go there.
Yeah, trying to
And
go. Manga can go off the rails a lot anyway, and there's some that go on for fucking, I don't know, 300,
yeah,
1,000 issues. So if this show becomes very popular within 50 issues or so, and then they're like, well, let's make a anime of this. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you might actually catch up and pass it.
So when they came back like a decade later and made Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and like kind of like picked up right where the original anime started going crazy, and then like finished out the whole manga, uh, you know, that was a good ending. That actually made sense. Um,
Yeah, when writing D&D campaign stuff, it's very difficult to make everyone happy at the end of it. If nothing else, if you make all of the players happy at the end of it, I personally, as a DM, am not happy at the end of it because I want it to keep going. It is one of the reasons that I started up the current campaign that I'm running because
yeah,
I was having a hard time getting a new campaign that felt right, that flowed right. But it was easy to pick back up with those same characters because I already knew them.
yeah. With the L campaign, I know roughly. I know what the tentpole situations are to the very end,
Mhm.
and so like I know what the big bad end guy is going to be, and I know kind of what the conclusion is going to be. And I have a couple scenarios of here are some good endings, here are some bad endings. You know,
Yeah.
but just the very basics of it. As to whether or not they're going to be interesting or fun, I I don't know. you know,
I mean, time will tell. You've got them planned out. You at least know the basics of them. And as your players start getting closer to those situations, you will focus more on them and plan them out more.
yeah.
Um,
I hope that they are good, and I hope that they enjoy it. But I can definitely see now from running a straight homebrew, it's just like you can't be happy with any ending. Like, especially like when you go back and look at with how many different endings Frostmaiden had.
mhm.
Like half of them were just kind of like, okay, we're done. Bye.
Frostmaiden leaves it open. Like it leaves it to a point where you could just keep going.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be an ending. That's just what they had written, but there's no reason that you can't just keep going. And I'm not going to say too much, but one of the endings puts the players in a really fucking crazy situation that would be kind of awesome to run.
It would be, and that's actually the situation my players are in.
Yeah.
But I have no reference material, and since none of that's canon anymore, I don't know
There
what to
is
do.
no reference material for that. Yeah, not saying anything else. We're done on this topic because I know we still have people who are playing it that listen to us. But yeah, one of the endings just puts you in a situation where there is nothing to really not. There's very little to go on, and it opens it wholly up for a DM to do whatever they want.
So kind of shifting a little bit of gears then from writing an ending to writing an encounter. On this Friday's stream where I kind of do to prep for my DM stuff. Um, I was trying to create an encounter that involves some type of giant humanoid creature. It could be a giant or an Etten or ogre or something along those lines.
Sure.
And I just wanted a big creature, and I wanted it to be a non-combat encounter. I didn't want them running away from like a giant stomping on them or anything like that. Like I said, I didn't want there to be combat, so I kind of was looking for inspiration in the Brothers Grimm fairy tales to kind of
Yeah.
give me a giant story to work from that would,
Be fi fo fum.
yeah, something along those lines. Uh, and so while I'm kind of like doing that, I decided, you know what, the Brothers Grimm stuff is just massive, and without like a point of reference or like a very good a site that has it all archived, there's nothing I could pull from that and that would ever make sense. Um, and so I'm kind of sitting there and just chatting with the people that are showing up, and feel if you're listening to this, feel free to show up on Fridays and just chat with me about D&D stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And so so one of the people that showed up after I explained what I was doing, he's like, "Hey, if you need help, I have a PhD in Norwegian folklore and literature."
Oh, is
And
that what I saw in the Discord?
yes.
By the
And he was
way,
like,
that is fucking amazing, and I love our Discord because of stuff like this. Like I haven't read it, but I hopped on the Discord earlier, and I immediately see these three pictures that he posted. It's medieval esque artwork. If anyone's
yeah.
familiar with if you're familiar with Edward Gorey's art, it has that feel. And I don't know who that dude is, but he's creepy as shit, and I want him in my campaign.
So the pictures that were posted there on our Discord, and feel free to join our Discord. We got links on the Facebook page and stuff like that. That is the um. Let me find her name real quick again. Yeah, it's an old woman, an old hag named Pesta, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, she essentially in Norwegian folklore would show up to a town or a village or a house, and she's holding one of two things: a broom or a rake. If she's
Okay, is
holding the
that what that is? It's a rake.
yes,
I thought it was a pick.
no, it's rake. Um, so if she waves the broom at your house, everybody in the house is going to die of disease. If she waves the rake, only a portion of the house is going to die of disease.
Oh,
And so,
she's all right. So she's just bad news all around.
yeah, so she's basically an omen of a death and pestilence. So that's that one right there. And yes, I did take that, and yes, it will happen. Um, and but he brought up a bunch of other stuff too. So he said the most popular story in Norwegian folklore is this story about Ashland and the troll,
Yeah,
where
I
he
saw it above it.
basically tricks a troll in a number of different games and basically tricks a troll into cutting open its own stomach and killing itself.
Yeah.
Um, and when he was describing it, it was like the boy picks up a piece of cheese, says it's a rock, and squeezes it, and water comes out. And the troll couldn't squeeze the rock and make water come out. Um, and the other part was like he tricked the troll to go get water instead of getting water himself. And then they had a porridge eating contest, and the kid said he would win. And so he hid a knapsack under his shirt and just kept pouring the porridge into the knapsack. And then he cut a hole in his shirt in the knapsack and let the porridge just come oozing out, and it kept eating more. And said, "Yeah, I'm going to win because I can do this. I can eat more than you can." And the troll's like, "Well, that's not fair." He's like, "Well, I can cut open my stomach. Why don't you cut open yours?" So the troll basically cuts open his own stomach and dies.
God,
Um,
I could see that happening to with a giant or a troll or something. Somebody with just a persuasion skill out the ass.
yeah. And so then he started linking me all these other things that he's been involved with basically restoring and rewriting. Um, and like I said, what threw me was the fact that he said he had a PhD in Norwegian folklore and literature, and he literally has a doctorate in those. Um, and so much so that he is part of a team that is going into like this ancient, essentially dungeon, but it's hermetically sealed area, and they're going to go through all the old records that are in this king's castle and photograph them and translate them into modern Norwegian and English.
Ah, it's
So
awesome.
he's going through and actually recreating and rewriting and translating all these old tales. And if you read the ones that he linked through the Discord, they're all fascinating.
Yeah, no,
And
I
so
will likely check a
eh,
lot of these out.
and he talked a little bit about them, like what they were, what they meant. Um, and a lot of them were basically just like, here's the story that's 3 pages, and it's like symbolic for you to basically make sure you're washing your dishes,
Yep.
essentially.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of stuff like that.
yeah,
Uh, it's like the I think with Jewish people it's the not eating shellfish and so forth.
yeah,
Just because at the time there were people who would die from it, they would get sick. So you just get this sort of lore that carries on and on and on through time immemorial, just because of stuff like that.
yeah. So it's fascinating, and going through the links of the Internet Archive that he gave with all the fairy tales. Um, they're just fascinating, like old tales, and I've already integrated a couple of them in the Owl campaign.
I actually integrated something like that this weekend in my own campaign, sort of accidentally. So, one of the characters that's been reborn as a hobgoblin, he's found out that he is a part of an order called the Order of the Eight Golden Blades, and they are a hobgoblin monk mercy order. And by mercy, I mean they kill people to give basically they provide mercy upon them. That's their sort of outlook on it. So he ended up in a hobgoblin city for the first time since taking on this body. And they end up staying the night in a local inn. And when I say an inn, it's actually just a common house. So he's in there with all these other low end hobgoblins. Like these are the poorest of the poor. And he was asking them about his order because he didn't know anything about it. And immediately, the hobgoblin that he's talking to sort of just he falls to his knees and starts groveling and asking for mercy. Like he actually wants him to kill him. So, at this point he has no clue what the hell's going on or why they're acting like this. So they end up staying in the hobgoblin town for a month and he comes to find out a bit more about his order. And I had to make a bit of this shit on the fly because it was not exactly planned, but at that point, he just sort of comes to find out that this order, there's only a few dozen of them in the entire world, and that they are looked upon as i- i- giving their blessing to somebody of low end will cause that person to, it rises their status. If he had killed that hobgoblin right then and there, his family would have raised in stature.
Okay.
Yeah, but I created a piece of lore it's going to continue on throughout the rest of my campaign, just on a whim because that's what I needed to do, and for whatever reason, that's what came out of my head at the time.
All right.
But
Now
yeah,
he's gonna now he's gonna find a way to loophole that.
maybe it seems unlikely. Like he's a hardcore role player. He well Jacob. He yeah he plays very much his character.
He's gonna die.
Oh, he already died. He already died once. He got resurrected this past game session.
um. Well, speaking of your players, one of them actually ordered the dice, the Grumpy Dungeon Master dice,
Hey, all
the
right, good
the
job.
1 year the 1 year anniversary kit. Well, what's funny too is I didn't notice that I even gotten that order until it was like 3 weeks into it, and then I couldn't mail it out until like a week or so ago.
Oh no.
But he should hopefully have it by now.
Well, yeah, whichever. I don't even want them to tell me who it was. I just want wait and when I show up for game this weekend. Hopefully, one of them has the orange dice.
Hopefully, should probably check the tracking number, see what happened to it.
Wouldn't hurt. Yeah, got to keep
But
up with
yeah,
that stuff.
if you want to set a Grumpy Dungeon Master dice, you can go to our website, grumpydungeonmaster.com, and order the 1 year anniversary gift package. We
It
got
is
like
limited
less,
amount, so get on
yeah,
it.
we got a few
Probably, yeah,
left.
yeah. Probably not ordering any more afterwards though. So they'll be collectible someday. It's going to be the only ones
Maybe,
out there.
maybe we'll see.
Uh,
I'm definitely ordering dice each year, but so
so
yeah, the
lately I've been playing around a lot with different monster types and stuff. Normally I'll just create things on the fly, but I've actually just been going to 5esrd.com. Their database has like every monster ever made. So I was scrolling through hobgoblins since I needed different ones for this weekend, just in case my players decided to fight with them. And I came across the hobgoblin imperator, and I ended up using this thing. They never had to fight him, thank goodness, because they all would have died in the process. But this thing is kind of fucking ridiculous. So he's just a hobgoblin, 17 armor class, 117 hit points, and he's challenge rating 5. And he himself is not that bad. He's 17 AC, 117 hit points. He makes 3 longsword attacks per round, and that's it. But he also gets a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on to him. He has this thing called regimented aggression. Every friendly hobgoblin within 30 feet of him get a +1 bonus to their damage rolls.
hmm
With his multi attack, he can use frightening presence and then make 3 attacks. And he also has 2 other abilities called command attack and counter attack. Command attack, he shouts orders to all subordinates within 60 feet. Allied creatures who can see and hear him can use their reaction to either move their speed to a target of his choice or make a weapon attack against a target of the Imperator's choice.
okay,
I mean, that's kind of fucking ridiculous right there. If you have a bunch of archers within 60 feet of him, they can all just start lighting up one person.
yeah. That reminded me. The 4E had a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, this is
Um,
this is stuff I like though. I enjoy things like this. His counterattack, if the attack roll made against the Hobgoblin Imperator results in a 10 or below, the Imperator can make an opportunity attack against the attacker. That's not even a reaction. It's just if you roll shitty against him, he gets to hit you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there were like I said, with 4E, I didn't play it much, but you've told me a good bit about it, and there are absolutely some things that I liked about it, specifically when it came to their monster and their monster building process. 5E just seems kind of weak and linear overall.
Yeah. The other thing about the monsters in 5E is that um, they seem to they lack unique flair to them that 4E had, but then 4E had it almost to some detriment as well too. But that monster sounds a lot like something that would have a lot of minions with it, and minions are something that I'm very surprised they didn't keep in 5th edition
Yeah,
because everybody liked them. For those of you who don't know what a minion is, a minion in 4th edition was essentially a weaker creature that died in a single hit, whether it be a point of damage or an actual attack blow against a target. And they did a set amount of damage. So that hobgoblin, let's say he had a bunch of goblin archers with him that were minions, those goblin archers do 4 damage or 3
right.
damage.
But
And so
they die to anything.
they'd die to anything, and then you would have them all fire at once and they'd all hit and just do 3 damage. They do just below the average.
Mhm.
So, you know, it could hurt when all minions were doing a lot of getting a lot of hits, but we'd run up there and cleave and splash 5 damage onto onto a minion, and there goes the minion.
Right. Personally, I am not a fan of that. That honestly sounds like Diablo. Like you just go rushing in and just start slaughtering massive groups.
Well,
Which
that was the whole point. So you're supposed to feel very
right,
heroic, get in there and kill a bunch. The most interesting thing I did with the minion is I took a level 13, 15, like CR 13, 15 minion, and put that against my party of level 5 players. So they couldn't hit it. They couldn't because
Oh,
it had
okay.
such a high AC. It basically dodged everything
If
or
they ever hit it,
blocked
it
everything.
dies, but they just can't hit it.
They couldn't hit it at all. And eventually, the way they won is they had to consecrate the ground and do AOE damage.
Yeah, it's just all it takes is one fireball.
Yeah, but I got multiple comments from the players like that was the most intense fight ever
And little
because they would
little do they know, all they had to do was do a single damage.
yeah because like it was messing them up because CR 14 15 stats
Yep. But yeah, I really have become a fan of this 5e SRD. There are 17 hobgoblins on here, and mind you, none of these that are on here are from the core books. Like they're not from the monster manual. This is just 17 other hobgoblins.
Yeah,
So yeah, for anyone, I know I talk about it often, lately at least, but geez, I'm looking at a page and a half just of regular goblins. So if you want some variety, man, go here, check it out, get some good
yeah.
stuff.
Well, a lot of the problem is too is like when you're writing stuff for publication, you can't use any of that stuff because you can't say like, "Hey, go to this website and get the monsters." Ha ha ha. So I still got to stick with a lot of the restrictions
Yeah,
of
well, yeah, if you're writing to get published, that's a whole different scenario. I'm talking for if you're just running your homebrew stuff, or then utilize what you have access to. I mean, I if I wasn't using this, I would just be making up the stats myself because that's what I
yeah,
always do anyway.
fair, true, fair,
This just makes it a little easier on me. I can look up some stats. I'll be like, that's pretty cool, and then I just write them down rather than
yeah,
make them up on the fly and then forget them in the middle of combat, which has never happened before ever.
yeah. Uh, I really want to bring minions back. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Dude,
Uh,
give it a shot. Yeah,
but
bring it. I mean, you're running your own homebrew campaign. Give it a try.
the
See what
the
happens.
the only problem with it is though is like the creatures that you would use as minions already died a single hit. And they have like 4 hit points. You
Yeah,
know,
fair.
so that's essentially kind of built in a way. I can see why they took it away because it's another rule that doesn't kind of like make sense. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I actually ran something that was the equivalent of minions this weekend. Not intentionally, because the idea of minions never crossed my mind when I was thinking of it. But my players were in a desecrated forest, and they got attacked by a whole bunch of like 1 foot tall plant creatures. And yeah, they died to any damage. You had to hit them, but anything would kill them. And then they would just make every round. I would just make a set number of attacks against all of the players. I think like 2 attacks every round against each of the players. As they're just getting swarmed by a whole bunch of these little guys,
Yeah.
and that effectively is the minion idea.
Yep. They had to deal with swarms a lot in this past game, and swarms are stupid
Swarms are stupid.
because they make no sense. It's just like, oh, yeah, they have resistance, so that's the swarm, and then like anyone does force damage or anything just does full damage to them. So they really need to rethink how that rule works.
Yeah, you just mentioned swarms. I'm still on the 5e website, and I just scrolled down to swarms. Swarm of mechanical birds. That is a thing. That is a thing. Swarm of mosquitoes. Swarm of hell wasp. That sounds awful.
I made a swarm of animated artifacts for the Al campaign.
Oh yeah, yeah. That sounds awful.
It's funny too because when it does like its AOE attack and it basically takes the equivalent damage to the damage it deals because it's basically made of like fragile artifacts.
Right, you're getting attacked by jewelry.
Oh, it's Mrs. Potts and Cup. Oh, no.
Yep. We've all seen Beauty and the Beast. I mean, you'd be getting your ass kicked by a candlestick, a teapot, a fucking sugar bowl.
for some strange reason, a very sexy duster. You don't
Yeah.
know why. You're very confused.
Yeah. What's up with that? Hey, baby,
What?
how's it going?
Uh, the things Disney could used to be able to get away with.
Oh yeah, yeah. Disney and Warner Brothers definitely caused a lot of a lot of sexual confusion in children. Just say that.
I saw something recently about like how powerful Disney was as a monopoly right now, which didn't make
Oh
sense because they're not a monopoly. There's other
yeah,
industries
they
out there.
Disney is not a monopoly. They do
Um,
not fit the bill.
but it was weird because they kept saying that like there's actually a company that has more of a control over the entertainment industry than Disney does, and
Comcast,
it's EA.
really?
Yes, because they boiled it down to the fact that EA has more market share with the Unreal Engine than any other um, development software out there, be it for video games or movies.
Do they use the Unreal Engine for movie making purposes?
Yes, they
Then
do.
then okay, yeah, all right, then I could believe that.
All of the Mandalorian, Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
The only other competitor out there is Unity.
Yep.
Uh,
Who
so
is ridiculously big too.
yeah, but they're not as big as EA.
Yeah.
Uh,
You say EA and immediately everybody's like, okay, well, what is there like Battlefront, John Madden? Immediately
Fortnite.
people think of the video games, but nobody thinks of the process behind it. The system for making it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very interesting seeing that level of control that they seem to have, and it's free. You can go out there right now and you can download the Unreal Engine. You can develop anything you want it, and you can publish it with it, and you don't have to pay EA a single thing until you make $1 million, and then once you make
Huh.
$1 million, uh, you got to get them 5%. But if you
Oh,
publish your
oh
thing through
no.
yeah, but if you publish your thing through the EA store, then they don't take anything from you.
Oh, okay.
I
Mind you,
just found it weird.
I have the EA store on my computer. I don't like it. Not a fan. I don't use it.
Yeah, it was just really weird, like watching this whole video on it, like how just much of market share, like Disney and all the stuff that they're doing is pretty much made in the Unreal Engine now. In the last big convention before everything shut down, they released video. I think it was Unreal Engine 4, and with just the detail that they can do in a small object without de-rendering it and stuff like that, it's going to revolutionize how movies are made, especially like if you watch like behind the scenes on Mandalorian
Yeah.
and realize that all that is basically being run through the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, like I've watched the behind the scenes footage with the was it the 360-degree filming and so forth, and
Yeah,
yeah, like it's kind of ridiculous. I did not realize it was the Unreal Engine. I didn't even realize that EA owned that. So
yeah, they're never giving that up.
I'm just waiting for Disney to buy Hasbro. That way they can own WotC, and then Caddy Bree can be a Disney princess along with Lolth.
How about they buy the rights to Avatar: The Last Airbender and make a really good Avatar movie?
What are you talking about? We had a great Avatar movie. You saw the one. It's sad they never made the second and third part of it, but
But they're blue.
no, 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 not that one. I mean the other one. I mean the M Night Shyamalan one. That was great, right?
No, he does horror movies.
Yeah. Well, and apparently he does horrible movies occasionally too.
What's the new one he has out? Looked kind of interesting.
Oh, I have no idea. Hopefully it's Avatar.
Uh,
Hopefully it's Avatar 2. I'm waiting.
no, he won't be let near that franchise anymore. Um, Old, that's the movie. Uh, basically a bit like bunch of families go to a beach and the kids run off and play someplace and they come back and they're all adults.
Oh yeah, I've seen the trailer for that a bunch of times.
That's a good Feywild encounter there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting Feywild idea right there, where your kids run behind a tree and they pop back out and they're like your age.
Oh God, how big would you be then?
Yeah. Probably as tall as a mom. Or honestly, just thinking of it in D&D terms, your adventurers are walking through, and then two of them, go around the bend, and then the rest of them catch up, and immediately those two, when they see them, are like 12 years old. Like de-ages them.
So the last thing we'll talk about, my players decided to basically skip the giant on a hill encounter that I had written up. That's basically spent all of Friday creating,
Ugh.
and
Your
they're just
players are
like,
the
okay,
worst about that, man. They love just
well, like,
skipping the shit that you write.
yeah, we're just gonna bypass him, giant on a hill. Well, I think the problem was is when I gave it to them, they had already done an encounter with a role playing encounter with a bunch of dryads, who tricked them into basically and almost killing them.
Oh.
So now here's a giant on a hill, and it's a role playing encounter, and they're just kind of like, yeah, fuck that guy. We're going over here, and because they're in the Feywild, I just kind of looped them back to the other side of the map. It's like, oh, you ended up right back here.
God.
I felt like a
Uh,
dick, but they were running that encounter no matter what.
Good. Make them. I know I don't like railroading, but sometimes you got to do it. I actually ran my first fairy or pixie encounter this weekend ever.
Did you turn them into giant T-Rexes?
Nope, nope, just something simple. They were already in a wooded glade, like they were dealing with druids and other stuff, and they were just hanging out there on friendly terms. And I had a fairy fly up in front of one of the PCs, and the PC was already pissed off about some other stuff. So the fairy flies up in front of him, holding two acorns, and he asks, "So, do you want to try my nuts?" And that's it. That's it. We're out of
Hi,
here.
everybody.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Check us out on Facebook
There's no at in Facebook. It's just facebook.com/Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
and on Twitter
That'd be at Grumpy_DMs,
and on Instagram.
at Grumpy Dungeon Masters,
And also be sure to follow us on Twitch.
twitch.tv/Grumpy Dungeon Masters, where we play Rime of the Frostmaiden every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Fuck yeah.